Blitzy, wanna make a movie? We gotta make a movie. Hey guys, I hope you're well. I decided to do something useful with my workbench and clean it off today. So, miracles do happen apparently. I wanted to make a video about the DX60, but I gotta clear this stuff off first. And I figured, there's something I figured I'd show you regarding the chemicals I use on my workbench. I'm not suggesting anything or recommending anything. This is just what I tend to use for most of my electronics work. So before I do that, I'm going to park you on a tripod and show you one of the handiest, most wonderful devices I think I've ever bought. It tests battery capacity. Here, and I found this pack of, I was going to call them Americrap batteries, but I read them. I read the label, and nope, they're made in the good old US of A. Well, they're made in China by a company in Ohio, I think. They came with that headlight that I bought for $5. Yet another check stand impulse purchase. And I'm going to pause you and show you something. We're going to test the capacity of those batteries. Sorry for the shakes, I was holding you with one hand. Hang on. Now baby boy Blitzy's all set up and ready to go. Dorsey Ultra Heavy Duty. We'll test that. Yeah, they made no claims about amp hour capacity. But I saw one thing that I love. A AAA 1.5 volt pile. A pile? It's kind of reminded me of Nikola Tesla's pile. You should watch the YouTube video on it. It's shocking. Figuratively and literally. I took the 3-cell battery holder out of that flashlight. Conveniently, it's got terminals on it so I can make a connection to the amp hour tester. Whoops, hang on. So I made the connections to that 3-cell holder. This tester is as such. If I rotate this knob down one, it shows me the voltage. If I rotate it down again, it's showing what voltage do I want to terminate it at. I'm going to kill these things, man. I'm going to take it down to 0.8 volts per cell. I'm going to give them a fighting chance. Let them prove their worth. Dorsey brand, ultra heavy duty. 0.8 volts per cell, 3 cells. We're going to take that pack down to 2.4 volts, okay? Now you click, and that's set. This shows the discharge rate. It's currently set for 1,000 milliamp hours. I'll click, rotate it down. I'll give them a fighting chance. 50 milliamp hours, or 100. These are AAA cells. I'm not that kind today. 100 milliamps. And when I click it one more time, it should start blinking. And now it's cycling. Now it's discharging. That'll count up. That's showing amp hours. You can rotate this down and look at the current cell voltage as it starts dropping, as it discharges. This won't change, that won't change. That is a function that isn't used on this meter. And so we'll let it go until it dies. When it's done discharging down to the voltage you specified, that'll stop blinking and it'll lock the display on. All right, 1/1000th of an amp hour. Hang on, guys. Okay, guys. I wanted to show you what chemicals I use on my bench and how I make my own switch and contact cleaner / lubricant using, well, I'll show you. I show you. What's the significance of my sock? I had to clean the dust off the top of the bottles, of course. What's the significance of this? Okay, we'll start there. It's a dryer sheet that it's been through the dryer once. I find that ideal to pack into these spaces on the Heathkit knob when this webbing, when this part here or here or here has cracked, and you rotate the knob, and it's not a matter of the set screw, the grub screw being too loose. It's just that it opens up, it expands when you try to turn the knob. So I find that dryer sheet honestly ideal to pack into these holes. It performs the function that rebar does in concrete. It gives it a structure. It's like you could almost use that to grow artificially produced skin in the lab. It's how they do it. So that's ideal. You can either mix it with epoxy and then pack it in. Man, that's messy. Oh God, is that? I find it a lot easier and cleaner and simpler just to pack that material in, and then a few drops of cyanoacrylic glue in each space. And you can even use as a kicker. There's a brand I used to use called Zap Kicker. It's a little spritzer bottle, and you can literally hear that cyanoacrylic glue crack hard. You gotta be careful. You can you take a big enough amount of the cyanoacrylic glue and spritz it with Zap Kicker, it'll start smoking. You know, gets hot. It's exothermic. So, hey guys, a few of my favorite screwdrivers. This little tiny ass little Phillips screwdriver. Can you see the point? Nah, I'm not even going to try to focus. This thing, oddly, will grab almost any Phillips screw, even big ones, from tiny to big. I'm going to touch. Nah, can I focus it? Nah, screw it. I autofocus again. I've had it for years. I got it at a hardware store. It's spectacular. This little Exolite. The lettering's gone, but it's an Exolite. That little tip there, it's exceedingly hard metal. You're not going to wear that down. I love the screwdriver. Again, it'll grab the vast majority of these straight slot screws that I work with on this stuff. Finally, this straight bladed screwdriver with the long shaft, man, it is wonderful for getting to the grub screws on the knobs on vintage equipment. Okay? We're getting to the chemicals, boys. I'm going to talk about the chemicals I use. Very few, very few. Move that to the side, move this to the side, move, okay. Now we have the chemicals. Turn them around. I'll tell you why I do or don't use them. 97% isopropyl alcohol. I've talked about it before. Alcohol is not easily distilled to greater than 97%. I forget the word for it. But what happens is in your distillation apparatus, once the ethanol, methanol, whatever, the water-alcohol mix reaches 97%, something magic happens. And at that concentration, it will evaporate quicker than the pure alcohol. Therefore, it starts coming over in your distillation apparatus. So I don't use it. Just that 3% water in there. I don't want it in pots and switches that I can barely get the solution into. You know, it'll take a long time to evaporate out unless you heat the thing. And when you're working with vintage electronics, man, some of these pots have high voltages across them, you know. I don't want any water in there, so I don't use 97% alcohol. Acetone? Ooh, you better be careful with that. Acetone is a wonderful dissolver of plastic. You know, get any on a front panel, for example, on a dial lens, or you know what I mean. God dang, man. You can quickly ruin what you're working on with acetone. It's excellent at removing enamel, like fingernail polish type of enamel, but it has limited uses. Believe it or not, guys, some substances are better and easier removed with water than alcohol or acetone. Or if the alcohol does work, it's the water in it that's doing the work. Conversely, if you're cleaning a vintage panel, let me give you something to look at. What are we up to? 0.016 amp hours. Where was I? The inking on some vintage receiver dial plates. You know what I'm talking about. Where the frequency scale is. Some of that ink will dissolve with water. People take nice warm soapy water in their kitchen sink to their vintage shortwave receiver dial glass, and once they rinse it, into their horror, there's nothing left but a piece of clear glass. With some inks, alcohol is safe to use if there's no water in it. You got to test in an inconspicuous place. I don't like alcohol with water in it. Anhydrous alcohol would be great. I've had it in the past, but it's a lab reagent and it's expensive. Acetone can be useful, used with caution. Lacquer thinner. Ditto the above. Maybe the slightest bit less damaging to plastic, but again, man, what will I use lacquer thinner on? Almost nothing. I was going to say a grimy film on a chassis, but usually the alcohol, well, that's where I will use alcohol to clean a chassis. And also the alcohol is less, the fumes are less volatile and explosive and less deadly than lacquer thinner. Not good to breathe, guys. Isopropyl alcohol, 99%. I don't need to reinvent the wheel. I don't need to beat that dog to death or horse to death. What is the saying? And that damn, man, what kind of world do we live in for that to even be coined? Isopropyl alcohol, however you wish to say it, 99%. Hard to find, expensive. Not as expensive as reagent-grade anhydrous, and that's getting close to pure alcohol. But boy, you open that bottle 100 times, and just the moisture in the air, it's going to start, the percentage will start dropping. And you know what, man? If I'm working on a vintage radio that's got 700 volts across the pot, I don't even want 1% alcohol in there after I clean it, nor do I want to wait a year for it to evaporate out. Okay? We're going to save him till last. Vinegar. It can be handy for cleaning corrosion from batteries, because that's a strongly basic it's alkaline, you know what I mean? And vinegar will neutralize it and to some extent clean it, leaving you with nice rusty metal. But that's better than the nasties. What do we have here? And what do we have here? We have naphtha, which is often called head gas. It's from the oil industry, and it's the petrochemical that comes out before the heavy crude, and it's Coleman fuel for your camp stoves and lanterns. I think you're slanting. You're tilting. It has an odor, but it does not smell like gasoline. It has a very low flash point, which means it evaporates very readily, like gasoline. It's pure, it's basically anhydrous, and it leaves nothing behind. It's non-conductive. It, although don't take me to court over that, right? I don't think it is. I could dip a meter in there, but who cares? Because it evaporates so fast. This is the best oil, in my opinion, money can buy for lubricating many things. Switch shafts and bushings, all kinds of things, man. But name mainly that. Switch parts and pot parts, bushings that a pot shaft has to go through, for example. It's light machine oil. This is a Singer brand for sewing machines and embroidery machines. It'll not thicken, it'll not turn into paste. And the combination of the two, I find, is the ultimate solution for restoring vintage equipment that have sticky shafts and sticky switches. The naphtha will dissolve that old funk and replace it with a very light film and emulsion of this machine oil to protect the metal surfaces. I make my own. I use a syringe with a blunt needle to inject it into the part. And I'm going to pause you and make a batch. I'll show you how I make it. Boy, is this going to be fun while sitting behind the camera. Hang on, I pause you. See that, guys? That's the way a nurse does it in a hospital when recapping a syringe. You don't hold the cap in your left hand and poke the needle into it with your right, because you're going to miss and infect yourself. Hang on. Okay, I've taken the liberty of sucking up 9.5 milliliters of naphtha off camera because I didn't want to just keep bumping you and rocking you back and forth and making you seasick. The littler bottle is the one I want to keep my solution in, my cleaner in. But I didn't know if this 10 milliliters would fit. But it's plunder's hard to push with alcohol in there. Okay, there's 9.5 milliliters of alcohol. You would not want to keep it in a vial with ground glass stopper because the naphtha will evaporate out, even though it's a liquid tight fit. It's not gas tight. Chemists would, when they use a ground glass thing on like an addition funnel or other apparatus, they'll always seal it with some glycerin, for example, or sulfuric acid, depends on the reaction they're doing. Okay, I'm going to pause you again and grab that syringe right there, and actually I won't. I'll just drip a 0.5 milliliter into that with you off camera. Hang on. Okay, I'm using my right hand this time. I've got a 1/2 milliliter of sewing machine, light machine oil. Let's just squirt it in the right place, Charlie. And that's it. That's it. That is, in my experience, the ultimate switch and pot cleaner / lubricant. The sewing machine oil readily dissolves in the naphtha. It's completely dissolved right now, and it'll never separate out. They've become solution. Hang on. Okay, and I've transferred it to the vial on the left. And for all you guys out there that are screaming, "Hey, Bluzzo, you would have fit, you big dummy." Yeah, no, that's basically full. It would have overflowed. Anyway, that's all, boys. Chemistry with Bluzzo. Hang on. Chemistry with Bluzzo. I thought I would add, when I use that solution to clean a shaft that goes through a bushing, it works excellent. The naphtha cleans the old fungus out, and the lubricant begins to lubricate that bushing. But I'll always lubricate it with a drop more of the light machine oil. The naphtha oil mixture is used for cleaning the switches internally, the contacts on switches, and the internals on a pot. Speaking of pots, it's one reason why you really don't want to use acetone to clean your pot, because some pots have a plastic film that is the conductive element, right? They're not carbon. They're conductive plastic. Semiconductive plastic, and if you use the acetone to clean that pot, you'll dissolve it. Hang on, I pause you. Let's take a look at the battery progress. Well, guys, I'm happy to report that the, you know what, man, let's call it what it is. The Americrap batteries are still going strong. They're almost up to a 20th of an amp hour. I'll have to look and see what a quality AAA cell is rated at in terms of capacity. But I think they're up there, like, you know, couple 300 milliamp hours or more. Let's see what the voltage is now. Oh, it was, those cells read, the combination of the three started out at 4.9 basically, and now they're down to 4.1. Yeah, they're going well under 1.5 volts per cell now. Yeah, they're under 1.4 volts per cell. They're on their way out, man. Almost a 20th of an amp hour. And so I'm going to end this recording now. I've babbled long enough. And from the bench of Bluzzo. Hey guys, look at this crap. These Americrap Dorsey batteries are about to make dear old Uncle Bluzzo look stupid. As if dear old Uncle Bluzzo doesn't do that himself, right? But I digress. 250 milliamp hours? Yeah, I did a little research on the internet, meaning I Googled two different phrases to see what alkaline batteries typically have a capacity of, and also carbon zinc batteries like these. And, yeah, your old Uncle Bluzzo's happy to report that sometimes Americrap isn't so bad. Americrap, it sounds like an acceptance corporation to underwrite your auto loan. I think I may owe Dorsey an apology. Since this video is going to take 3 months to transcode, I'm going to call it quits here. And like I said, I will pin a comment to the top of this video and let you know what the battery capacity of the Dorsey AAA battery is when discharged at 100 milliamps. I'd like to thank you for watching, and my dear, dear good boy, Blitzy. 73, guys.